Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Troublmaker. This is Wargame European Escalation. This week I'm doing 3 matches, excluding my Wargame I'm Irish, my Wargame Airland battle video, which you should definitely watch. I'm having 3 matches from a series, which will be a series involving 4 players. In this one, we have feature enohka and drrtyd. And they will be challenging people in exchange for beta keys. These are some of the best matches out right now. They're showing great amounts of the meta game, great gameplay, definitely something you can learn from. And for my second match, I chose a 2v2. A 2v2. Once again, drrtyd, enohka. Enohka is something like 2,000 rated, 2100. drrtyd is a marshal. He balanced the game pretty well, and he's also leader of the WTF clan, which is one of the dominant clans in the game. Their opponents playing pact will be random and pact. They'll be playing pact, yeah, over here, and it'll be random and hunter. Now, random's already taken a shot, single player, at getting a beta key, and he got completely stomped. Now he's hoping that his teammate hunter will be able to turn the tide, and looks like we're going to see some funny play right off the bat. Double smirch. Double smirch is kind of funny. And it's not like ha-ha funny. It's kind of, dear God, I hope I kill a whole bunch of stuff funny. Because one smirch is capable of deducting a lot of health points, but not killing anything. It barely kills anything. But it also provides the stun, and one smirch is really, really good early on for a stun, so that when you push in, you have all their units stunned, and then you get into position very easily. It allows you not to get picked off. It's not something like compared to a regular artillery unit. Regular artillery units have a very, very different functionality. Regular artillery units are used for picking off small groups of infantry, just non-stop barrage, non-stop weakening stuff up. These rocket-based weaponry are really for destroying stuff, deducting high amounts of HP, large spread area, and mass stun. Yeah. So, we got some infantries. In fact, quite a bit of infantries. We got a T-80U. This is a heavy tank. It's one of these ones that if you lose it, you lose the game. And a lot of these BMP 685s, random used them in the last game. Pre-patch, they were pretty terrible. Post-patch, they're relatively good. And by terrible, I mean they're just better choices. Just to put this in context. He's got a single tank destroyer here. Tank destroyer? When were you a tank destroyer? Are you really a tank destroyer? No, you're not a tank destroyer. Jesus, of course it's not a tank destroyer. It's a rocket-based weapon. This is not a tank destroyer. This is a rocket-based weapon thingamajigger. Like a tow. It's a really expensive one. The nice one, these MTLB Shaturn S things, is that they have a lot of rocket capacity, so they're going to be able to fire for a long time. Like, that's 12 rockets per unit. That's crazy. The downside is that, generally speaking, it only takes 2 or 3 rockets to kill something. It basically means you have to resupply them less often. Now, from drrtyd and enohka, we're seeing very slow deployments from them. Maybe they're talking about what they're going to do. Obviously, their opponents have planned something. They've got some Gazelles and Cobra combo. There's no recon here, so we're not going to see that power combo. But he does have a double Blackhawk, which means double Delta, which means this is pretty functional. The idea behind this particular loadout is that he's going to rush some recon units to, like, here or here, and he's going to use the helicopters to support them. And then once the Delta units are in, they're going to provide recon, and they're going to trade insanely cost effectively. And it works relatively well. It's a legitimately good tactic. From enohka, we're seeing a lot of tanks. This guy loves his tank play. And some tank destroyers, and, you know, getting a few more of these murder rolling twos. We got some AMX OPs in here from enohka, just 2. Once again, huge difference between artillery and rocket-based weapons. The artillery are just slowly padding things over time. And we'll note that there is, in fact, 2 FOBs here, which they can drop. Whoa, drrtyd with the multi-rocket launchers, going for the double multi-rocket launchers. So we're going to see some insanely high amounts of fun early on. There will be a slight element of RNG, depending on whose rocket launchers will hit stuff properly. Rocket launchers are very, very capable of destroying infantry vehicles. They're very capable of destroying supply trucks. they're not all that capable of destroying tanks. So if he can get this line here, he'll be golden. So like I said, it looks like this is exactly what drrtyd is going for. Just wanting to get this Foxtrot location. And note, if you secure this location, you have a really good pinstring point on this third base here. And it's also a very fast reinforcement point for this. Actually, no, they're about the same, but yeah, it gives you a nice position to attack into here. That's the big part of this. This can be a defensive trump. This attacks into here. But with all this stuff here, it's even questionable whether Random and Hunter will even be able to take this. Now keep in mind, this is not Hunter XXX. This is Hunter, brand new player from the there's no tournament. Brand new player in the game, and Random is going for some really freaky deaky push here. Going alongside, there is a UH-1C Heavy Hog ready here, and this is a really popular option for scouting, is to have helicopters deployed along the edges to see if something's coming. And now he knows. And how will enohka respond? Keep in mind, he has a lot of tanks in the area, a lot of tank destroyers, and Random is preparing for some sort of push here. He's got lots of tanks in tow, lots of infantry. He's got the BRDM recon unit, which of course is like an infantry sniper. Sorry, still a little bit of a cough. Try my best, people, try my best. And yeah, it looks like this position's not even going to be takeable. But Hunter very wisely realizes what's going on, not going to engage this, going to instead maintain position in this not a base. In the campaign, this is a base. In the map, it is not a base. And here comes 4 infantry from enohka. Now, if he didn't know before, he definitely should know now. Here comes the BMP 685s. Should be able to peel back these riflemen very easily. Riflemen, of course, not very good. The M113 carrier, actually very good. But in this particular situation, you will see it get dumped on. All the while, whoa, Chieftain MK20 getting a good pot shot off of the 685. And the OVs are winding up. And look at the good spread here. enohka actually might be trying to play it a little bit aggressively, because here comes the nice little push in here by Random. And I like to illustrate, this is actually a very strategically brilliant play by Random. A lot of people don't like blob tactics. Blob! enohka has a line right here. Random has a blob, which will cut through the middle. Note that if you can cut through the middle, get these 2 artillery pieces. These units are out of place. They're going to get blocked off by the town. They're going to get blocked off by these hedgerows. So realistically, in this encounter, only these Leopards, these Chieftain MK10s will be firing. Even these N901 ITWs will not be firing. However, he's leading with a very old tactic, and this is where the tactic will no doubt fall apart. He's leading with infantry. We see some nice little multi-rocket fire, and here's what I'm talking about. Bam! 3 stuns! That is the beauty of the multi-rocket launcher. This push has been effectively shut down now. The multi-rocket... Let me try that word again. Multi-rocket launcher has just owned too much space. And whoa, T80 with 1 HP will go down. Oh my god, yes. Big 225 point grab here by enohka. And here comes an infantry. enohka might go ring back from these Vizakaris. And it looks like we're going to see a counter artillery fire. No stun. Oh, some stuns there. It seems like it's still running away, which is not good. Oh, well, BMP 685s in the woods. Hitting from the long distance, trying to get this Chieftain MK10, still not doing insanely high enough damage. enohka is just completely stomping. Very good repositions here by enohka, and suddenly this is all turning sideways. This is all going bad. It is now double point lead here for, and whoa, here comes Hunter. That's what I'm talking about planning. Hunter has moved up his tanks and is pushing in. There's now a complete surround of these tanks. They either have to kill or be killed, because they can't go anywhere. They can't retreat. There's no retreat path here. A T80 BV, what an interesting choice. AMX 30Bs are all in the range of these T62s. T62s got to change and switch on to these AMX 30Bs right now. Just wipe them off the face of the earth, and that's exactly what he's doing. 1 cluster down, 2 clusters down. Oh my god, enohka and drrtyd are in some serious trouble. This tag team has planned this to the core. They knew exactly what their opponents would do, and they would just smash them in. Now these T62s have to move back. There are some riflemen being deployed. And what are these little flags going down? It says attack! Alright, and so we gotta see. Come on, Hunter, move them back. Don't get sniped out by riflemen. Looks like he's going to lose all these. And suddenly the big lead that they had is going to shrink very heavily. All because he's not microing those back. This is most definitely an all-in, people. Don't be fooled by the number of bases that their opponents have. This was a very big all-in push, followed up with a macro play. This is not uncommon in RTS games. It happens all the time where someone does a big all-in and then they expand. In fact, I raise my hand and I say this is exactly how I play most RTS games. I love doing big aggressive attacks. I love expanding behind them because nobody expects it. This is a very unexpected play. And we can see that this is a really great position here for Random and Hunter. Random already doing about 25% better than what he was doing before. But the question is whether he'll be able to hold on to this position. There are some riflemen walking with support of some M1113 carriers. But there are lots of BMP 685 supporting. The Grenzer is going to try and spread it, move around. Doesn't want to get wiped out by the artillery fire. And more flags saying attack. Oh, it's enohka saying attack. I see. And of course his teammate drrtyd is not attacking. Not following enohka's orders. And keep in mind that all the people in this challenge, they're not clan members or anything. Like drrtyd is the head of WTF. And just to throw it out there, General Binks is in no unit. So, I mean, you have multiple teams. There's no real coordination. There's no real practicing between these guys. They're just a bunch of random guys doing stuff. So if you practice something like Random Hunter are doing right now, you can have a good chance of winning. But having said that, the game is not over yet. There's still a few problems for Random Hunter to figure out. Specifically this area here. It needs some serious artillery fire to clear some of those infantry, and it can trade very cost effectively. They do have 3 bases, which is good, but this flank here is pretty well dependent on this forward flank. So they do have some things to work out. Looks like we have an ALB Shaturn moving up, but will it run straight into the riflemen? Keep in mind, this isn't a real tank destroyer. Not the same sense as like a BTR Shallow or a Martyr BTS-1 or an AML 90 Lynx or anything like that. This is a rocket-based tank destroyer. This is closer to an ITO rocket than anything else. And it looks like these Battle Karnarskis have really overextended themselves. The Chieftain MK10 will wipe it out. And Recon away. Recon units are relatively effective at killing infantry because they move very quickly. And they have attack damage. Whoa, what happened to all these BMP 685s? Oh, they're over here, of course. He's been splitting them up. And this is a little bit of a trick here by Random, I think. A little bit of a trick. Because you see, his opponents only see 2 BMP 685s, when sneakily, there are more over here. So it's very sneaky. Might even be some little bit of a supply truck micro involved there. But still very, very sneaky. And, whoa, Zip are going to go down to a T80 BV. Doesn't want to get too close to the T80 BV because of morale damage, but picks it off very effectively. And all things are really going sideways for 2 of the top players in the game. And like I said, your best bet in getting beta keys will be to challenge these guys to a 2v2 because they don't play with each other. I mean, they play against each other. Sometimes they might do a team match every now and then, but these guys don't very often practice team play. I mean... I'm not saying they're not friends. I'm sure they're good friends, but they're just not people. They're not clansmates. So if you practice enough, you can definitely beat these guys in a team match. I'd be more impressed with the 1v1 victory, but dear God, this is how you'd get into the beta. So we have a T80U firing on this Chieftain, which has only just now responded and is in serious trouble. The Tunguska moving up. I don't know why. I don't understand. And here comes the T80U. Tunguska looks like it's going to soak 1 hit, and the Chieftain didn't go down that hit. 1 hit point left, no fuel on that. Oh my God, it's a free Chieftain. And Shazam is dead. The Recon did go down though, so that's not good. And yeah, looks like we see a 3rd base picked up here by Team enohka drrtyd, going for the Juliet base. They'd also be fairly safe in taking the India base, but it's just so far away for reinforcement. It'd be too easy a target to attack. Looks like this commander is randomly moving up to Charlie and take another 3-point base. So now suddenly this location is not so hot. Hunter says, attack! Every time I see this pop up, I assume that they're yelling in all caps, "Attack!" And this is, you know, when you watch pro stuff, in most games you'll hear them on Ventrilo or TeamSpeak or Mumble or some sort of in-game VoIP. But in Wargame European Escalation, this is really how people communicate. Even in the best of the best clans, like, people don't like yell at each other because there's just so much going on. There's no point in telling a person, hey, you know, fire your multi-rocket launcher smirches. Keep in mind, you still have 2 full FOBs here at X location. They don't have time to say it, so they'll just say, attack! And this will immediately say, like, can you please artillery that location, please? We have some French Spires here. French Spires receive a small buff, but they're still relatively weak in most regards. They are your recon infantry unit. They don't really have a lot of high hitting, powerful stuff, but they do provide really, really good optics, which is good. And so usually with French Spare, you pair them off with tank destroyers, tank missiles, anti-tank weapons, anti-air weapons, these sort of things. Just get some good use out of them. But running them into the middle here is generally considered to be a very non-standard way of playing. In fact, I might even say this is a mistake. This might be a mistake here from Mr. Drrtyd. And looks like, oh yes, lots of artillery fire into this town. This town is loaded full of infantry, so this will do a crazy amount of damage. There is a Fusilier in this building here spotting all this. Well, apparently it's spotting nothing, so I'm a liar. But yeah, spotting a lot of stuff will be this Fusilier. It's only 4 Fusiliers, so it's very easy for random and hunter cleanup, assuming they can actually kill it. And these French Bears are just not going to be able to get away. This BTR-60 Pi will chase them down to the ends of the earth. And it's just one vehicle. It's got some nice camo. It's got some tires on the back in case it pops a spare. By the way, spare parts in airland battle. Ooh, yeah. It's something that basically your vehicles can self-repair with their spare parts. And that's pretty cool. Because there are spare parts on these vehicles just sitting there. I mean, yeah, it's possible that if you get shot from the rear, you can pop a tire, and that's something. But it's something that's really cool that everyone kind of thought just made sense, and they did it. Just thought I'd throw that out randomly. I never talked about that in the beta video because that was something I was actually really excited about, but I totally forgot it existed until I saw those 2 tires on the back of this BTR-60 Pi, and I was like, oh my god, those are spare parts. And it's true, they are spare parts. So Drrtyd and enohka really got to get themselves out of this one. You might be hitting a mid game in which there's going to be a lot of small plays. We see 40 riflemen going to get deployed. Riflemen are still a little bit underpowered, considered to be underpowered, but their carrier vehicle, the M113, not. Ooh, recon helicopter goes down. That's not good. And this is all not going well. Ooh, trying to reinforce some tanks here. No, he's going to pull them back. And here comes some more artillery barrage, knocking out some more infantry. There's still 6 riflemen here. They're not visible, of course. Why would they be visible? And it looks like we're going to see finally cleaning out part of this Foxtrot base. This Foxtrot base has some relatively minor importance. It's one of the minor imbalances in the map. NATO can take Juliet, India pretty easily, but Pact has to take Foxtrot to get India. And it's only a minor imbalance because this is a 3-point base and this is a 2-point base, so it's not a big deal. No one cares. There's some imbalances that are pretty crazy. It's like, oh my god, there's a town right there. There's no town in the other place. That changes everything. This one doesn't change too much. You still basically get the same kind of stuff. And here comes a command armor actually for Drrtyd. Going to go to India. Very late command armor. There's still 22 minutes left in the game, so you'll be able to macro up quite a few units from this. This forest area has been cleaned out. And keep in mind, as far as like thing and tactics go, they took this, and they, I mean Drrtyd and enohka, I should clarify that, took this location so that they can take these 2 locations. They knew by putting units here, they could take these ones without needing a lot of units to defend. Simple, exacting justice. So we have some close range artillery fire here coming from enohka. with his Amex AUFI or AUF1s, or maybe that's a lowercase L. Awful. Get it? Because it's awful. All right, that's a terrible joke. All right, there's no way to really get out of that one. And looks like more supply getting plopped out. There's still lots of supply in the FOBs. Multi-rocket launchers haven't been used a lot in this game. I would suspect they would get used a lot more, but both players have actually been using them very strategically, attempting to really only use them to stun on pushes. So this is actually an area that could get multi-rocket launchered badly. Like how many vehicles are here? They could destroy so much and gain so many points by this. But of course, you can only act on what you know, and he doesn't actually know while bringing these 40 chasseurs from us that there's actually a ridiculous amount of infantry in here already, and infantry vehicles. Of course, some of these are these OT-64 Scott ones. They do not have a weapon on them, which actually could mean that Random and Hunter's position here could be in trouble if they don't do something about this. Excellent use of these OT-64 Scots is to deploy them in wooded locations for scouting, or to move them forward to see how far away tanks are and whatnot. Here's an interesting unit we don't see. Saperzi says Turmowi. Yes, exactly. And the commander is actually going to have to get pulled back. This has actually been such a brutal infantry attack. The tanks, of course, cannot really go into the woods and engage these chasseurs Hamas without engaging in too many mega deaths. And enohka not going to follow up with a tank. Not going to fall for what could be a trap. It's where we see some infantry battles going on as we roll through what would be the mid game. The mid game. So, in our mid game, we have drrtyd and drrtyd and enohka, 4 points worth of bases, and we have Random and Hunter are going to macro out a lot of units and hope to win on units. And ooh, that was a bad push right off the bat. We see OT Scots coming in. They're trying to soak damage and kind of fake a drop, and it worked really well. Look how fast he pulled back. And this is also buffered for the actual infantry, which have all now split up and might go down, but keep in mind they're also buffering for these BMP 685s, which should be able to move in and do some damage once the infantry are dropped. And here we go, infantry drop. Saperzi says Turmois. There's no epic way of saying that name. Here comes the volley of fire. This is what I'm talking about, strategic use. Look at this, stun. The infantry are not going to be able to engage in this battle. This is going to be a huge pushback, and a new position should be established here by Random and Hunter. However, this could end up being a net loss if they lose too many of these infantry units. And Random saying defense ? And yeah, it looks like they're going to lose way too many of these infantry units, and this could actually become a counter bad push. Looks like some really bad rocket fire here from drrtyd. Basically missing everything. Great pullback here by Random, just in time. He still lost quite a bit. They're still ahead, but they still lost quite a bit. And there's a thing. You don't fight losing battles. Whatever you can get away in a losing battle, you get away with. You run to a better defensive position. Now, how will drrtyd and enohka follow this up? They will be rallying out more of these big heavy tanks. Heavy tanks, of course, take a lot of damage and just cripple. How much are these things worth? 25? That's not too bad. Still very expensive infantry. And we have some infantry carriers probably going to die from Mr. enohka, as now it's only a 350 point lead. And basically, this is kind of an interesting situation because we have not seen this yet. If Random and Hunter are able to survive another 15 minutes, and by survive, I mean maintain their lead, they will be going into the beta. Now keep in mind, I have played beta extensively, and I played a lot of 4v4, and I truthfully do not remember for the life of me who I was playing against. I made a lot of jokes about drrtyd, about having to give him fellatio in exchange for beta keys, which of course are false. There was no facial exchange for my beta key. But I can't really remember off the top of my head who's in, which is kind of terrible, but it's true. I don't remember. I can only remember playing like I played like Tiga. I played Vasily Krysev, Kripsov. I played Vosfury. I played a few like higher rated players who completely stomped me. That's the problem with the VIP beta. Like, it's like very highly chanced that I will get stomped by somebody who's really good. And look at this T80BV. You're gonna wind up against the Leopard 2A4, and here comes a rocket. Ooh, big miss. There's still 3 hit points missing from this Leopard 2A4, so it might be worth engaging with the entire army just to wipe this thing out. The riflemen have now taken position in this woods, and you can see that there's a lot of infantry being rallied down here for Hunter, as he's trying to reinforce this mystical jungle with more units. And enohka is definitely playing with fire with this Leopard, just coming in, trying to do a pick-off shot and then run away. And a lot of units going away. He's got to pull away this Kolos as well. Can't forget your supply. You don't want to resupply these riflemen, because that would really just reset you back. And Kolos. How much of that Grenzer actually supplying them as far as information? Not too much. And in fact, enohka went for the kill on the Kolos as opposed to the capture, because honestly he needs a lot of points right now. So this position is getting a little bit strenuous right now as another Leopard 2A4 comes in for enohka, and it looks like this is going to cue him to push forward. And ooh, he might go for a command armor kill right now. This is dangerous. He's got to move up these tanks right away to get this Leopard. If he can kill the 2 Leopards and trade him for the command armor, that would be huge, but he doesn't. The command armor goes down. Suddenly things have gone sideways. Drrtyd and enohka are back in capture range, and the Leopard is taking no damage. Absolutely no damage. None of the tanks were moved up. There was no effective defense. Here was the scary thing. Enohka had a backflank of 4 VABs coming in to pick off that command armor as well. Enohka had that snipe on that command armor planned very, very well. Looks like another command armor was deployed here by Team Random Hunter. And here's an embarrassing note. When your own supply trucks are firing on you and they're actually causing you to retreat and die, looks like this might be a Drrtyd win. It's hard to say right now, but it's looking more and more like it. The advantage that Random and Hunter have was that Drrtyd and enohka were doing a lot of really bad early pushes, and now it looks like a huge income advantage for Drrtyd and enohka. And yes, there is a 100-point lead here for Random Hunter, which if they hold on to, they can still win, but the hugest advantage goes right now to Drrtyd and enohka, especially enohka with these double Leopard 2A4s. One of them has a veterancy point on it. He's going to rally out a third Leopard 2A4. It's a crazy amount of heavy tanks. You don't see that many heavy tanks. And look at this sneakiness here being countered by the sneakiness. They're very aware that these forced attacks are killing them. Challenger coming in for Drrtyd. Lots of Leopard 1A1s. These are going to be soaker tanks. They're designed specifically for soaking damage so that enohka's 2A4s can do the kills. And dear God, this is a mass mobilization. We're seeing lots of tank destroyers here, lots of AT teams, lots of AT air teams, and a TPC focus that needs repairs. There's also a Gazelle here for spotting, so this should be a pretty crazy push. And this is the push to end all pushes. This is the big game ender. This is what you've been waiting for, people. Crazy amounts of action. The main body of the army will be moving down the road while enohka's tanks will be sniping from the back. They'll move up as this army moves up and pick off whatever they can. Huge stun here on some units, but just not enough. M113 106 millimeter RR do come out, and they will be continuing with the push. This is the do or die, however. There's a lot of infantry, specifically Conquerors, out here for Random and Hunter, and if they can do enough damage to this push, they can win it. This is all or nothing, people, and this is really what's been building up to. Drrtyd and enohka have been spending the entire game just macroing up. All they can do a push like this. The M113 106s are running out of fuel, though. They can only travel about half this distance before they're capturing here, but they've done a lot of damage. There needs to be deployed infantry everywhere. Needs to be deployed. This is a huge defensive play. The Conquerors continue to fire on their opponent, and they need to get some pretty crazy hits now because it's just going bad. It's all going bad. drrtyd and enohka now take the lead. 6 minutes left in the game. Anti-tank gun dragon team will be deployed up to the front and taking out a SPO 60 right off the bat. And this push is madness. There is absolutely no way for this to be repelled. Will there be a... Well, the Delta Force are getting taken out. That's interesting. Never would have noticed that otherwise. FOBs are completely empty, which means we're not going to see any rocket fire. There's a Delta Force here as well in the back. And this push is a little bit stalled. It's running out of fuel, but the damage is... Whoa. Hold on. Those Delta Force kills are really just screwing over drrtyd and enohka so bad right now. It is now a 400 point for Random and Hunter. They could be getting into the beta right now. I'm kind of excited to see how this goes. With all these under-fueled vehicles, he's pulling up a Milto Shaturn. There's an anti-tank gun dragon. It's been killed off by just in time. And here comes the BMPs, and they're going to pick off a few of these tank destroyers. Milto Shaturn is pulled back just slightly in time. 3 minutes, 50 seconds. Beta on the line. The honor of drrtyd and enohka on the line. There's just nothing you can do right now. This is actually a win. Random and Hunter absolutely win this. There's going to be some crazy deployment of helicopters. Yes, this is how you end your game if you're this freaking close. You deploy a whole bunch of freaking helicopters, and you either win or you really lose. And so then we're seeing defense. Why? Because Random and Hunter have not been deploying anti-air vehicles this entire game. And suddenly things can go bad again if this is effective. That's the big thing. This only has to be effective. And here they come on the side. 30 seconds left. He's got to get a few command armor kills. Heavy Hogs actually going down on this flank here. And here comes the vehicles. And no, that does it. Random and Hunter do get into the beta. They will be the tag team going into the beta. enohka 2200 rated, drrtyd 2100 rated, and look at this Random getting himself right up to 1900. These guys have earned their way into the beta, and that means there's still one 1v1 key, and plus anything else that other people spare. And I'm pretty sure this kind of flagrancy will be going on for a while. My name is Troublmaker. This is Game 2. Check out Game 1 if you missed that. It was a 1v1 featuring General Binks. And if you liked what you're watching, subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to the playlist, Wargame Matches. That way, all the matches will show up every Friday in your feed. And I have one more match of the day. I usually only do 2 matches per week, but this week's special, I'm doing 3. It might show up on Saturday, depends on upload times. Thank you guys for watching. Join me for the next game.